Drivers Make podcast. Please like and subscribe and share if possible. It helps a lot. It helps unscripted voices like mine not be censored and pushed down in the algorithm. Okay, today I'm going to do another type of reaction video. So usually in these videos what I will do is I will listen to a video, YouTube short at random, and you'll get my initial reaction, and then I will respond with my thoughts on the topic, okay? So I'm going to pick one at random, if my camera doesn't fall over. Unscripted YouTube. So, what have we got here?
Because in Nigeria, I didn't think of myself as black, because nobody thinks of themselves as black in Nigeria. We have many problems, but race is not one of them, because I guess most people in Nigeria are black. In many West African countries, we don't have race as an identifying part of us. So when I went to the US, all I had thought of myself was a Catholic and Igbo. And Nigerian, of course. But then in the US, people would just say things to me about being black, and I would think, I don't even know what that means. But most of all, it was that I started to learn that black wasn't a value-free idea. That to be called black was that people made assumptions about you. There was a professor who was surprised that I wrote the best essay in class. And I realized that he was surprised because he didn't expect a black person to write the best essay. And so for me, it was a learning process. Of course, now I very much identify as black. Because in Nigeria, I didn't think of myself.
Okay, so hopefully you can hear me with the technical difficulties, right? But there is a lot going on there in that video. So it's, I think she said she's Nigerian, a Nigerian black woman. Looks like she's quite educated, a professor type of lady. He's saying in Africa, in Nigeria, they don't see themselves as black, they see themselves as Nigerian and whatever tribe they are, and whatever religious and social attributes they attach to themselves, right? And in the West, in America, she's talking about, I think, they see them as black people. Okay. So there is a lot going on there, right? And for this, because this is just off the cuff random, there's so much I would like to discuss and dive into, but I don't really have a prepared thought pattern of what this is, right? So I understand what is happening here, though. So my opinion on it is this. It's true that in Africa there is no real need to call each other and think of each other as black people, right? Because that is a categorization tool that was created by Europeans and majority white people, right? And ironically, being called black people only came out as a consequence of white people wanting to define themselves as other than these other people, right? So they define themselves as white first, right? As I know it. So as a consequence of them defining themselves as an other from the rest of the normal human beings in a country, in a tribe, in a village, right? That gave rise to having to then identify and categorize people according to physical attributes or country or whatever attribute you want to identify them by, right? And this is very surface level understanding of it, right? It's not deep into the etymological reasoning of why, right? The historical facts parts why. I'm just giving you a surface level reaction, okay? So yes, in America, in the West particularly, race is very much a thing, right? A nuanced subject. But in reality, right, outside of the West, outside of the context of what slavery was and what identity politics is, black as a colour is not an identity, right? Just like white as a colour is not an identity, and brown is not an identity, right? She's right, because in Africa, they're all just Africans. And the irony is, the name Africa comes from Greek people, right? The Greeks named Africa after a god called Africanus or something like that. Maybe I got the name wrong, but it's along that line, right? So it's all mixed up, jumbled up history and ways of thinking on really old world stuff, right? Truth of the matter is, she isn't black. She's a Nigerian woman from whatever tribe she's from. But when she comes to the West, now she's black. She's a black woman. And if she's in America, she's now an African American, which is silly, right? Because anybody that is not indigenous to the land, yeah, should just be called an American anyway, right? So the white people in America should be called European Americans then, if the black people in America are called African Americans, right? If we're thinking on logical lines, right? But because racism is so illogical in the first place, all of the foundational points of views and the naming and categorizing of things doesn't make sense, right? So just flat out, it doesn't make sense, but it is in existence, right? It is how people identify themselves from other, right? That is what happened in history, right? So now you have blacks, whites, and as of recent, right, you might not like to hear this, but you now have Asian people calling themselves brown, right? Which is ironic because black people are brown, right? Anyway, right? Like I said, all nonsense, right? It's all nonsense, okay? She shouldn't be treated differently based on her skin color, right? Nobody should. She shouldn't be categorized automatically as a black person because she's from a place, right? She's from a country, a landmass with history, with its own socio-economic division, right? It's under like I was about to say something crazy, right? But it's under its own kind of governance, right? Just like everywhere else is, right? A Spanish man has the right to say, I'm not white, I'm Spanish. A German man has the right to say, I'm not white, I'm German. Just as much as the African lady has the right to say, I'm not black, I'm Nigerian, right? Because that is the truth, that is quintessentially the truth, right? There's only one race, well, there is now only one race of humans, right? Because historically there's different versions of humans, right? There's one version of Homo erectus now, right? If that's the right term for it. Anyway, I don't know how I let a YouTube short drag me down into this crazy historical race relation thing anyway, right? I don't know, right? But that's the first video I clicked on. You let me know what you think in the comments. Is it right that we are still using black, white and brown as classification for people when realistically none of those things can be an identity, right? Should we just start calling people by their country, right? Their nationality and not their skin color? Because it's not their race. It's just the human race now, right? It is just their color and their nationality, right? Where they are from. Their genealogy, right? Has nothing to do with their skin color. Because if we're going to classify a group of people, everybody would be brown. White people, black people, brown people, everybody would be brown. A shade of brown, right? And that's just the facts of it. So, yeah. It's weird that she had to experience that, but it's not new, right? People that come out from outside of the most dominant Western countries understand and experience this at some point in time, right? A Polish man will come from Poland to England and he will automatically be called a white man, right? But does he think of himself as a white man? I don't know, man. Does a Slavic person think of themselves as a Slavic, right? I don't know, right? But the classification exists because of racial history, right? And there's more I know about it, but I don't want to talk about in this video, in this reaction. So I'm keeping it very surface level and light. You tell me what you think. Do you actually know the history of where this color classification comes from and why people decided to change from nationality and family name? Like, he is a Johnson, right? He is a Matthew, right? And start just calling themselves blacks, whites, browns, right? You tell me what you think and what you know about it, right? And I'll be more than glad to listen, to read and learn something from you if you can educate me on the topic too, right? So, thank you for your time. Drivers Make Podcast. Please check me out on TikTok, Drivers Make Podcast, and on Instagram, Drivers Make Podcast. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day.